Nobody wanted the damaged Thunderfighter. I bought it cheap and found its secret jacks. Walked through the scrapyard like a man who belonged nowhere, yet somehow felt at home among rusting hulls, broken engines, and shattered control panels. The hangar floated in orbit around a mining colony on the edge of known space, a place where humans were always looked down on, and alien corporations ran everything. Jax had been here many times, but today something drew him toward a corner he rarely visited. A section of battered and forgotten ships discarded by everyone who thought they were worthless. As he stepped closer, his eyes fell on it. The fighter was small, sleek, and covered in battle scars. Its hull was dented in several places, paint peeled, and thrusters looked like they had survived dozens of crashes. A sign on the side read simply, "Thunderfighter Scrap." Everyone else had walked past it. Jax felt a strange pull, a quiet whisper in his mind saying, "This one isn't finished yet." The auction was about to start, and the other bidders were aliens. Tall, multi-limbed beings with shiny exoskeletons. Their voices buzzed with excitement as they inspected ships that were pristine, untouched by battle. Jax kept his distance. The others were laughing at the Thunderfighter, calling it a wreck and joking about how a human could ever fly such a thing. "It won't even get you out of orbit," one of them sneered, clicking its claws on the metal railing. But Jax didn't care. He'd learned a long time ago that when others scoffed, there was often hidden value. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was stubbornness. Either way, he bid on it quietly, and when the auctioneer hammered the final price, it was ridiculously cheap. Jax paid with the last of his credits and dragged the fighter to a small hangar. The moment he stepped inside, the silence of the hangar felt different. There were other ships there, functional but lifeless. But this Thunderfighter, it felt like it was watching him. Jax ran his hands over the hull. The metal was cold, but beneath it, he thought he felt a faint hum, like the ship was breathing. "Just a machine," he muttered to himself. But deep down, he didn't believe it. He climbed into the cockpit. Dust swirled in the low gravity as he brushed it away. The controls were old, scratched, and several screens were cracked. Jack switched on the main console, expecting the usual dead silence. Instead, lights blinked, screens flickered, and the engines made a soft, almost melodic chime. The ship's systems booted up, not fully, but enough to show life. "What the?" Jax whispered, leaning closer. Symbols flashed on the screen in patterns he didn't recognize. Some seemed to respond to his gaze, almost as if the ship was learning him as he learned it. He frowned. This wasn't normal. Ships didn't think. For hours, Jax inspected every panel, every wire. He found that the Thunderfighter was built differently than standard models. Its circuits were embedded with unknown materials that glowed faintly in the dark. Its hull seemed reinforced with something not in any of the manuals he had studied. And every time he pressed a control, the ship responded instantly, sometimes in ways he didn't expect. By the time he sat back in the pilot's seat exhausted, he realized he hadn't felt this alive in years. The other humans in the galaxy were considered weak, expendable, nothing more than cannon fodder for alien fleets. Yet here was something old, something that had been underestimated, just like them. And somehow he felt it had chosen him. The next day, he decided to test the engines. The hangar doors opened to the blackness of space, streaked with the glow of distant stars. Jax activated the thrusters. The ship lurched forward, not violently, but with a precision and grace that made him gasp. It moved like a remembered flight, like it had danced in battles long before he was born. He steered through the debris field outside the hangar. Rusted cargo pods spun slowly, abandoned satellites drifted silently, and the wrecks of old mining vessels floated like ghosts. Every movement of the Thunderfighter was effortless. Its hidden power was unlike anything Jax had flown before. He pushed it a little harder. Thrusters roared, shields flickered, and then the ship took a curve no human pilot should have survived. Jax gripped the controls, heart pounding, and realized the ship wasn't just flying itself, it was helping him fly. Hours passed. Jax barely noticed the time. He experimented with the weapon systems carefully, in case they were damaged. But every test revealed hidden complexity. Energy readings jumped, adaptive targeting systems adjusted, and the cockpit displayed warnings and suggestions he didn't understand. The fighter was old, yes. Broken, yes. But it was alive, in its own way. Later that evening, as Jax floated outside to check the exterior, he noticed something odd. A faint engraving ran along the ship's wing, almost invisible under the scratches and corrosion. It was a series of symbols, flowing lines, and strange geometric shapes. He had never seen anything like it. The symbols seemed to shimmer faintly in the starlight, and for a moment, Jax could have sworn he felt a message. He recorded it all on his tablet. But the more he stared at the engravings, the more questions came. Who had built this? Why was it abandoned? And why, after all this time, had it waited for him? His thoughts were interrupted by a notification from the Galactic News Network. A rival alien faction known for hunting stolen or experimental tech had spotted a human pilot in an old prototype fighter near the mining colony. They called him foolish and insignificant. Jax frowned. They didn't know him. They didn't know the Thunderfighter. A few days later, he decided it was time to test its combat systems. He entered a training corridor, a long, narrow path through asteroid fields designed for simulation. He activated the targeting system. The fighter's guns hummed. They were old models, but when he fired, the bullets curved slightly, adjusting mid-flight to hit moving targets. Jax's jaw dropped. The ship was smart. It wasn't just helping him fly. It was helping him fight. That night he stayed in the cockpit longer than usual. The stars stretched endlessly outside. Jax leaned back thinking about how humans were considered weak, dismissed by every alien empire in the galaxy. And yet here he was, in a fighter that could outmaneuver anything in its class. Perhaps it was a coincidence. Perhaps it was fate. But he felt a spark inside him, a spark of hope, of defiance, of something that had been missing in humans for too long. Then came the dream. Or maybe it wasn't a dream. In the darkness of the cockpit, symbols glowed on the control panels. A soft, melodic hum filled his ears, not from the ship's engines, but from somewhere deeper. Jax closed his eyes. He felt a presence, something ancient and intelligent. The fighter was alive, yes, but more than that, it remembered. Memories of battles, of victories, of long-lost humans who had once ruled these stars. Jax woke with a start. The hangar lights were dim, the fighter silent once again. But he knew something had changed. The ship wasn't just broken metal. It was a key, a weapon, a companion. And somewhere in the galaxy, people, humans and aliens alike, were about to underestimate him. He sat in the cockpit, gripping the controls, staring at the stars. "We'll see who's weak," he whispered. "We'll see who's strong." Outside the hangar, the galaxy continued, unaware. But for Jax and his Thunderfighter, everything had changed, and for the first time in his life he felt ready to prove that humans were not so easily forgotten. The galaxy was quiet, but not for long. Jax had spent the last few days exploring the capabilities of his Thunderfighter. Each system revealed surprises. The adaptive shields could reform to deflect even unexpected attacks. The weapons were old but modified with strange technology that made them almost intelligent. And the thrusters. The thrusters. They could twist the fighter through space in ways that should have broken every human bone in the pilot's body. He had not told anyone about the ship. Not a soul. Humans were already considered weak, and anyone who discovered his fighter's abilities would try to take it away, or worse, destroy it. But secrets had a way of leaking, especially in the galaxy. And rumors of one human with a living fighter soon reached the ears of a rival alien faction. It started with a simple broadcast. "A human pilot has been sighted flying an experimental craft near the Varian Belt," the report said. "Preliminary scans indicate an unusual energy signature. Authorities recommend immediate containment." Jax was tinkering with the targeting system when the alert flashed on his cockpit display. He frowned. Containment. That sounded like trouble. And indeed, trouble was coming faster than he expected. Later that evening, as he ran simulations in the asteroid fields near his colony, sensors picked up approaching ships. 3 sleek alien fighters, painted black and silver, were weaving through the rocks with deadly precision. Jax's heart raced. He had flown simulations alone, but now this was real. The Thunderfighter hummed, almost as if sensing his fear. Lights in the cockpit flickered, and the ship adjusted itself automatically. "Okay, old friend," Jax muttered, gripping the controls. "Let's see what you've got." The first alien pilot opened fire. Jax twisted the controls, weaving through floating debris. The bullets curved strangely, guided by the Thunderfighter's adaptive targeting system. One by one, the alien shots missed, ricocheting off nearby asteroids. Jax grinned, exhilarated. The Thunderfighter wasn't just alive, it was protecting him. But the aliens weren't novices. They adjusted, flanking him from different angles. Their own shields were advanced, and for the first time, Jax realized he would have to fight strategically, not just rely on the fighter's instinct. He pressed a button labeled Covert Mode. The Thunderfighter's hull shimmered and disappeared, blending with the darkness. The alien scanned frantically, confused. "Good girl," Jax whispered, feeling the bond between himself and the ship grow stronger. The Thunderfighter responded with a soft hum, as if acknowledging the praise. Jax struck from behind, firing the weapons in precise bursts. The aliens were forced to retreat, surprised at the humans' sudden attack. One of their ships was damaged, its shields failing. Jax watched it drift away, unable to finish it off without risking exposure. Still, it was a victory, his first real taste of combat. Afterward, he retreated to a small outpost in the belt to analyze the encounter. The sensors recorded something unusual. The Thunderfighter's energy core had absorbed part of the alien ship's weapon pulse and redirected it back with amplified force. Jax stared at the readouts. "You're full of secrets," he muttered. The fighter hummed again, almost like a soft purr, and Jax laughed. He had no idea how many secrets the ship still held. Over the next few days, Jax studied the fighter more closely. He discovered an internal mapping system that allowed him to see vast distances across space, not just for navigation, but to detect potential threats and resources. There were hidden compartments with power cells and energy reserves. Even more astonishing, the fighter seemed capable of analyzing enemy patterns and predicting movements. Jax realized he was piloting a machine designed not just to fight, but to win against overwhelming odds. But knowledge brought danger. Reports of a human with a living fighter spread through the alien networks. The scouts, bounty hunters, and warships began tracking his movements. Jax knew it was only a matter of time before they came for him in numbers. He couldn't fight alone. One night, while repairing minor hull damage, he noticed a flicker in the cockpit. A message appeared on the console, written in symbols like the ones etched on the wings. At first, he couldn't understand it. Then, slowly, the shapes began to align, forming letters. It read, "Human pilot, you are chosen. Protect the legacy." Jax froze. Chosen? Legacy? What legacy? He thought of the human history he knew. Humans scattered, underestimated, nearly forgotten. And yet, somehow, the Thunderfighter seemed to know more than he did. Its systems were ancient, possibly built by humans long before the current galaxy believed them capable. He tried to push the thought away. For now, survival was his priority. The next day, he practiced evasive maneuvers near an asteroid belt. The Thunderfighter responded instantly, twisting around massive rocks as if they weren't even there. Jax's confidence grew. Maybe, just maybe, humans weren't as weak as the galaxy thought. Suddenly, his sensors lit up with a massive energy spike. A fleet of alien ships, far more than the 3 he had fought earlier, was approaching. They had traced him to the belt. Panic surged through him. He was alone, outnumbered, and yet the Thunderfighter seemed calm, its lights pulsing softly, ready. Jax took a deep breath. "All right, let's see what you've really got," he said. The engines roared as he launched into the asteroid field. The aliens opened fire immediately. a storm of energy, beams, and missiles. Jax twisted the controls, dodging and weaving. The Thunderfighter's adaptive shields glowed as they absorbed impact after impact. Bullets curved mid-flight, targeting enemy weak points with uncanny precision. One ship broke formation and came straight at him. Jax fired a calculated shot. The Thunderfighter's weapon system bent the energy bolt mid-flight, hitting the alien ship from an impossible angle. It exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The remaining aliens hesitated. This human pilot was unlike anything they had seen. His movements were erratic, yet precise, unpredictable yet deadly. And all the while the Thunderfighter seemed to anticipate his needs before he even thought them. Hours passed. The battle raged across the asteroid field. Jax pushed the fighter to its limits, performing maneuvers that would have shattered any normal ship. The aliens struggled to keep up. Slowly, one by one, they began to retreat, confused and battered. When the last ship fled, Jax floated among the debris, chest heaving. The Thunderfighter glowed faintly, its systems humming a triumphant note. Jax realized the truth. They had underestimated him. They had underestimated humans. But even as relief washed over him, he knew the danger was far from over. The alien faction would return, bigger and more prepared. And somewhere, in the hidden corners of the galaxy, there were other secrets about the Thunderfighter he had yet to uncover. That night, Jax sat in the cockpit staring at the stars. He thought about the message. Protect the legacy. What legacy? And why had the fighter chosen him? He didn't have the answers yet, but he knew one thing. With the Thunderfighter at his side, he was no longer weak. Humans were underestimated for a reason. They had been forgotten. But maybe, just maybe, it was time to remind the galaxy what humans were capable of. The hum of the fighter filled the hangar as Jax leaned back, exhaustion tugging at his limbs. He looked at the control panel, glowing softly in the dim light. "Tomorrow," he whispered, "we find out what you really are." The stars outside twinkled as if in response. Somewhere deep in the blackness of space, humans were small, weak, and overlooked. But for Jax and his Thunderfighter, the first steps of something greater had already begun. The galaxy was bigger than anyone realized, and secrets older than civilizations themselves drifted quietly in the void. Jax had learned that firsthand. The Thunderfighter had already saved him countless times, yet every day seemed to reveal more of its mysteries. But he still didn't know the half of it. After the battle in the asteroid belt, Jax spent days analyzing the fighter. Every system, every panel, every hum of its engines hinted at something ancient. One night, while studying the ship's core, he activated a hidden compartment behind the pilot's seat. The panel slid open smoothly, revealing a storage bay lined with crystalline data modules. They glowed faintly, humming softly, as if alive. Jax's hands trembled. These weren't just old flight manuals or maintenance logs. The modules carried memory imprints, fragments of someone or something long gone. Hesitant but curious, he connected the first module to the ship's interface. The cockpit filled with light, and images appeared. Fleets of humans in sleek, powerful ships, battling alien armadas across star systems, moving with precision and skill that no current human had seen. Jax blinked. Humans had once ruled parts of the galaxy. And these weren't ordinary ships. They were ancestors of the Thunderfighter, designed for war, strategy, and intelligence beyond the ordinary. He realized that the fighter wasn't just advanced technology. It was a legacy. A weapon built to survive the worst the galaxy could throw at it, and to choose a worthy pilot. The hum of the Thunderfighter seemed to deepen, as if acknowledging his understanding. It wasn't merely a machine. It was a bridge to a forgotten past, a reminder that humans had once been powerful, clever, and respected. But understanding came with danger. The alien faction that had attacked him before had regrouped. Scouts had located the belt, and word spread of Jax's growing skill and uncanny fighter. A larger fleet was already mobilizing. They underestimated him before, but they wouldn't again. The next morning, Jax took the fighter on a reconnaissance mission. His goal was to understand the alien fleet's movements and gather information before they discovered his hideout. As he maneuvered through nebula clouds, the Thunderfighter guided him with subtle suggestions on the displays, showing safe routes and hidden anomalies. Jax noticed another hidden ability. The ship could cloak him almost entirely, bending light and energy readings to appear invisible on scans. The fleet appeared faster than he expected. Dozens of ships, each one more advanced than the last, spread across his sensors. He clenched the controls. Alone, he had no chance in a direct fight. But the Thunderfighter whispered possibilities, routes, tactics, maneuvers that defied standard physics. It was guiding him, teaching him, preparing him. Suddenly, a small alien probe shot past him, scanning for life signs. Jax held his breath. The Thunderfighter responded immediately, releasing a pulse that interfered with the probe's sensors. It spun off course and exploded against a nearby asteroid. Jax exhaled. The fighter wasn't just powerful, it was alive in ways he didn't fully understand yet. Back at the hangar, Jax began decoding the memory modules. Each one revealed more about the ancient human fleets. How they had been underestimated by the galaxy, how they had survived against impossible odds, and how they had developed technology designed not only for survival but to outsmart the enemy at every turn. One module revealed the creation of the Thunderfighter itself. It had been part of a small fleet designed for clandestine operations, to carry secret technology to remote parts of the galaxy and protect human interests even when humans were weak and scattered. And here it was, drifting among scrap, waiting for a pilot who could honor its legacy. Jax felt a surge of pride. He wasn't just a pilot, he was part of something much bigger, a continuation of a line of humans who had once been feared across the stars. His thoughts were interrupted by the sensors. The alien fleet had moved closer. Their intentions were clear: destroy the human threat before it grew. Jax realized the full extent of the danger. If he made a mistake, there would be no second chance. He suited up and prepared for the fight. The Thunderfighter responded, lights glowing softly, its systems pulsing with energy. Jax felt the bond between them strengthen. He wasn't just controlling the ship, it was fighting alongside him, thinking with him, and anticipating his moves. The battle began in the void. The alien fleet descended in formation, weapons blazing. Jax weaved through the ships, dodging volleys of plasma and missiles. Each maneuver pushed him to the edge, testing his reflexes and his trust in the Thunderfighter. The ship responded flawlessly. Adaptive shields flared as weapons impacted. Energy pulses redirected enemy fire. Jax realized he could fight not by brute force, but by intelligence. By exploiting weaknesses, anticipating patterns, and letting the Thunderfighter handle the impossible calculations in real time. One alien ship broke from formation, charging at him with reckless speed. Jax fired his weapons, but before the bolts even left the cannon, the Thunderfighter adjusted their trajectory, hitting the ship's shield generator and crippling it in seconds. The alien pilot snarled in frustration, and Jax couldn't help but smile. But then the unexpected happened. A massive energy beam shot across the battlefield, aimed directly at him. There was no time to dodge. Instinctively, Jax activated the Thunderfighter's hidden defense system. The ship's hull glowed, absorbing the beam and redirecting it back toward the enemy flagship. The explosion rocked the fleet, throwing ships into disarray. Jax realized the true power of the fighter. It wasn't just adaptive. It could alter outcomes, change the tide of battles in ways no ordinary technology could. And humans had built this once, proving that they had been more than just survivors. They had been masters of strategy and ingenuity. The alien fleet regrouped, battered but determined. Jax didn't have time to celebrate. He had to retreat, reposition, and strike again. Every decision was critical. Every maneuver counted. And through it all, the Thunderfighter guided him with precision, as if it remembered ancient human tactics, passed down through memory and technology. Hours passed like minutes. The void around him became a chaotic dance of light and energy. Jax realized that he wasn't just fighting to survive, he was proving something. Humans were clever, resilient, and capable of rising above expectations. And this fighter, long forgotten, was the key to showing the galaxy what humanity could do. By the end of the battle, the alien fleet had withdrawn. They had lost too many ships to continue the fight without regrouping. Jax floated in the wreckage, exhausted but victorious. The Thunderfighter systems hummed softly, as if pleased. Back at the hangar, Jax accessed the memory modules again. They revealed one final secret. The Thunderfighter held a dormant system called the Quantum Override. It was a last resort weapon, capable of disabling enemy fleets remotely, without direct confrontation, but it could only be used by a pilot who had earned the fighter's trust. And now, Jax understood. The ship had chosen him. He leaned back in the cockpit, staring at the stars. The galaxy had underestimated humans. They had counted them out, dismissed them as weak. But Jax and the Thunderfighter were proof that humans could adapt, innovate, and fight back against overwhelming odds. Somewhere deep in the void, humans were small and forgotten. But one human, in a damaged fighter long considered worthless, was beginning to change the course of history. And the secret legacy of humanity, the power, the strategy, the intelligence once thought lost, was waking again. Jax smiled. "We're just getting started," he whispered. The Thunderfighter's hum was the only answer he needed. Together, they would remind the galaxy that humans were never as weak as anyone thought. The stars stretched endlessly before Jax as he flew through the outer rim, the Thunderfighter humming with quiet energy. For the first time, he felt a strange calm. The alien fleet that had hunted him for days was assembling for one final assault, a fleet far larger than anything he had faced before. Their numbers alone should have crushed him. But Jax didn't panic. The Thunderfighter glowed faintly in response, as if sensing the gravity of what was about to unfold. Jax's hands tightened on the controls. "Time to show them what humans can do," he whispered. For weeks he had studied their movements, analyzed weaknesses, and tested every hidden system the Thunderfighter had revealed. He knew he was outnumbered. He knew he was alone. And yet, for the first time, he felt invincible. The alien fleet appeared on the horizon, a dark wall of ships stretching farther than the eye could see. Their weapons glowed ominously, scanning for life signs. Jax took a deep breath and activated the Thunderfighter's cloaking system. Light bent around him, making him almost invisible. His heart raced as he weaved through the fleet, slipping past patrols and reconnaissance drones with precision only the Thunderfighter could achieve. "Keep calm," he muttered. "One step at a time." The first wave of attackers approached, sleek ships designed for speed and destruction. They fired, but the Thunderfighter anticipated every move. Its shields flared as lasers bounced harmlessly off the hull, and its weapons struck back with calculated precision, disabling key engines and forcing the fleet to scatter. Jax laughed, exhilaration filling him. Humans had been underestimated for centuries, dismissed as weak, fragile, incapable of true power. But here he was, a single pilot in a forgotten fighter, turning the tide against a superior force. He pushed deeper into the fleet, dodging explosions and energy blasts. Then came the flagship, a massive alien vessel bristling with weapons, far beyond anything he had encountered. Its energy readings were off the charts, and its shields were stronger than anything he had seen. Jax's hands flew over the controls. The Thunderfighter hummed in response, almost like a heartbeat. He activated the Quantum Override, the secret system stored deep within the ship's core. Energy rippled through the fighter, spreading out across the fleet like invisible threads. Ships that had been perfectly coordinated now malfunctioned, their weapons misfiring, engines stalling. The flagship fired a massive plasma cannon aiming straight at Jax. He twisted the controls and the Thunderfighter reacted instantly, absorbing the blast with its adaptive shields. Then it redirected the energy back, striking the flagship's main reactor. The explosion lit up the void, a brilliant flash that stunned the remaining fleet. For a moment the galaxy was silent. The alien ships hesitated, their formations broken, their confidence shattered. Jax grinned, adrenaline surging through him. "That's the first lesson," he said. "Never underestimate a human." The battle wasn't over. Smaller squadrons began to regroup, attacking in waves. Axe danced through the chaos, the Thunderfighter moving as if it had a mind of its own. Every maneuver was precise, every shot calculated. Enemy ships fell one by one, disabled or destroyed, their pilots bewildered by the humans' unpredictable tactics. Somewhere in the distance, other humans watched. News of Jax's exploits had spread across the outer colonies. Pilots who had long felt powerless now felt hope. Inspired by the lone human in the Thunderfighter, they joined the fight, harassing supply lines and assisting where they could. Jax noticed them, briefly, and smiled. Humanity was waking. Humans who had been dismissed, underestimated, and ignored were beginning to fight back. And it all started with a damaged fighter, a cheap purchase, and a pilot who refused to give up. Hours passed, the battle stretching across the void like a storm of fire and light. The alien fleet had underestimated one human and a ship built for legends. Now they paid the price. Ships exploded, shields collapsed, and commanders screamed orders in frustration as their tactics failed at every turn. Jax's mind raced as he prepared for the final strike. The flagship remained, massive and terrifying. Its weapons were still active, its shields still strong. But he had one advantage the aliens didn't. The Thunderfighter knew him, remembered ancient human strategies, and had been waiting for this moment for decades, maybe centuries. He closed his eyes for a moment, centering himself, then he dove. The Thunderfighter twisted and turned, weaving through the flagship's defenses. Its energy systems pulsed, and Jax felt the bond deepen, the ship responding to his instincts as he responded to its guidance. He targeted the core, the engine that powered the vessel. The quantum override surged through the Thunderfighter, sending a wave of energy that disrupted every system aboard the flagship. Explosions rocked the vessel from the inside. Jax fired one final shot, perfectly calculated, striking the core. The flagship erupted, a brilliant explosion that scattered debris across the void. The remaining alien ships, leaderless and broken, began retreating. The battle was over. Jax floated in the cockpit, chest heaving, eyes wide. The Thunderfighter glowed softly, systems humming like a satisfied heartbeat. Humans had not only survived, they had won. Back at the hangar, Jax debriefed himself, replaying every move. He realized the full impact of what had just happened. The galaxy had underestimated humans, and now, one human pilot had changed the narrative. Stories would be told, myths would grow. The galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. He stepped out of the cockpit and looked at the Thunderfighter. The once damaged, forgotten ship now gleamed with restored power. It had carried him, guided him, and fought alongside him. And it had chosen him. "Looks like we've started something," he said quietly. "Something the galaxy will never forget." News spread quickly. Humans across colonies hailed Jax as a symbol of resilience and ingenuity. Alien races that had dismissed humanity now regarded them with caution, respect, and in some cases, fear. And for Jax, it wasn't about glory. It was about proving a simple truth. Humans were clever, adaptable, and stronger than anyone dared to believe. The Thunderfighter hummed softly, its lights pulsing. It had more secrets, more systems Jax had yet to discover. And together they would explore them, pushing further into the galaxy, rewriting the rules of engagement wherever they went. Jax smiled, eyes on the stars. "This is just the beginning," he said. "They'll remember the humans. They'll remember us." The galaxy watched silently, unaware that the age of underestimation was over. Humans were no longer weak. Humans were unstoppable. And somewhere, deep in the void, the Thunderfighter pulsed with quiet pride, its secret legacy fulfilled at last.